When we think about our carbon footprint and reducing it, you may get overwhelmed and think that doing so might mean walking everywhere, going vegan, or never showering. First off, what is a carbon footprint? A carbon footprint is however much CO2 emissions a person uses based on their lifestyle choices. That can include the amount of food, electricity, or water a person consumes. Based on a report from the Dame Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the textile industry in 2015 accounted for 2% of the carbon budget. To avoid harmful impacts, the global temperature rise must stay under 2 degrees Celsius, and by 2050, the fashion industry is projected to account for 25% of the global temperature rise. To help bring these numbers down, there are small ways of lessening our footprint, and doing so could start right in your closet. Therefore, me and my team have set out to find ways of sustainable clothes shopping, starting right here in New Paltz. Our first person is a student who thrifts clothing on his Instagram business account.
My name is Peter Donahue, student at SUNY New Paltz, and I run an Instagram account called Racked Clothing, where I resell vintage clothing. Basically, I go thrifting here in New Paltz, in New York City, and back home on Long Island, and bring up all the clothes here, sell them on Instagram for a little bit of a markup, just to help some kids in college get some clothes. Instagram is the best platform at a small school like New Paltz like this. I do have a website, I do have other apps I sell off of, but it's nice just to be able to quickly connect with people on campus or in town, and it's very short to the point, and I get to meet a lot of people that I typically wouldn't get to meet. I can't remember the last time I really bought like new clothes. And I like also, it's definitely a good way to save money. You can find great stuff at thrift stores, and it's kind of what I'm trying to do is kind of trying to save people from spending hours looking through thrift stores, because it's tough. You can go to an expensive store and find something right away, but thrift stores you really got to search. Me personally, I can't remember the last time I've bought any clothes at a mall, just because it's very expensive, and I like being able to find stuff that I wouldn't typically find in any department store or any mall or anything like that. So aside from being cheaper and more sustainable, just being able to get clothes at a reasonable price, it's nice finding stuff that you won't find typically anywhere else. What inspired me to start Racked Clothing was just simply the fact that I've been selling clothes forever, but not in an organized sense like this, like not under a brand or a name or anything. So I always get asked, where'd you get that? Can I buy that off of you? Where do you buy your clothes? So I finally just decided to put all my clothes together in one spot and decide to buy clothes specifically for selling. And I love the idea of running a business and being able to interact with people every day. So it's kind of where it came from.
After talking to Peter, we went on to explore a consignment shop and learned about the ways that consignment shopping is more sustainable.
My name is Matt. I'm the manager here, and this is the Rock and Snow Annex consignment for outdoor gear. When we opened this business in 2013, we had a large customer base already. The consignment process, people can bring stuff in anytime. We don't have an appointment system or anything like that, and we kind of talk to the consignor and agree on a price to sell it for, and once they sell it, they can get 75% in a store credit or 60% in cash. People who are local, people who are climbers who come in regularly on the weekends, and now also come into our store. Things at the main store can be a little expensive if you're buying them brand new. So by having a store where things are used and priced a little bit more gently, you can kind of open sales to a whole new customer base. We sell new and used here. But yeah, I mean, passing used gear on to someone who can still find use for it is certainly sustainable.
After talking to Matt, we walked over to a vintage clothing store. Our last person tells us how vintage shopping can not only be better for the earth, but can provide a quality of clothing that the fast fashion industry does not today.
Hi, my name is Danny Paul. I'm working here at Rock Candy Vintage on Main Street in New Paltz. We sell vintage clothing and accessories. And my job is to take care of the clothing that's in the store and to make sure the store looks fun and inviting. And Candace Schuster, who owns the store, she deals with several people that she feels trustworthy, and their pieces have been in pristine shape, so she gets from them. Shopping at the mall has its benefits, but shopping vintage is better for the sustainability of our earth because we're not using machinery and people hours to build new clothing. First of all, the styles are very amazing, but the quality of clothing built 50 years ago as opposed to clothing that's built to be disposed of today is so much better. The old clothing is great, and that just helps relieve our carbon print a little bit, and it also helps remind people to take better care of their things. The reason I say that vintage clothing is better made is because they really did make it to last. At that time, it wasn't. When we think about clothes that we have some clothes that from the Midwest, the clothes that come from the Midwest, the farmers and the cowboys wanted a shirt that was going to last them a long time while they were doing their chores. They didn't have time to go out and buy a shirt every 2 weeks. Today, that's very popular. And to buy it on the internet is very popular because it's easy and you don't really care as much about it. Vintage clothing was made to last.
Together, me and my team were able to find 3 local ways of sustainable shopping. These are not the only ways, however. You can use sites like StyleSaint.com that ethically produces clothes without consuming as much water or energy. You can also use Poshmark that thrifts brand name clothing for cheaper, or you can even visit your local thrift shop or clothing swap. The possibilities are endless, and together, we can start by changing our shopping habits to help our planet and leave it in better condition than how we found it. Every bit helps.